Let's welcome our keynote speaker, Ms. Genie Sugene, Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy, Asia Pacific, Japan, Middle East, Turkey and Africa, Kaspersky. With a huge round of applause, please.
And her topic is very much interesting. That is an opening keynote address on building blocks for cyber resilience, transparency as a best practice. So can we have a big round of applause for her? So the stage is setting up for the first keynote address. So welcome Genie for our keynote speaker. So can we have a big round of applause for her? So let's begin up with our keynote address.
Thank you very much. You can hear me, yeah? A very good morning to, yeah, still morning. A very good morning to our chief guests and fellow participants of the inaugural IT Confex. It's a real pleasure to be here because it's first of all inaugural, and it's always nice to be there as a friend at the start of any journey. As many people have been for Kaspersky when we first started in 1997. We are more than 26 years old as a company, and so we are pretty mature right now. And so I think it gives me great pleasure to be on this stage. It's a great privilege to be speaking among bright minds, and also many veterans in the industry to be sharing our experience and some of our best practices and learnings from around the globe. My name is Genie, and I am the head of government affairs and public policy for the Asia Pacific. Please bear with me, it's pretty long. Asia Pacific, Japan, Middle East, Turkey, and Africa regions of Kaspersky. We are at Kaspersky a global cybersecurity and digital privacy company, and of course we started out with our humble beginnings, as I always say, in antivirus solutions. But we have since evolved to also provide cutting-edge threat intelligence and innovative security solutions to protect businesses, individuals, critical infrastructures, and of course, governments. Transparency is a topic that's very close to my heart, and it is also something that is at the core value of the company. Transparency has enabled us to earn the trust of our customers all through this 26 years and has allowed us to continue doing what we do best in a safe and trusted manner. We believe we have created something valuable today, and so it gives me great pleasure to be able to be on the stage to share more about how this can be promulgated as a best practice throughout the industry for information technology and cybersecurity. Now, I will start by sharing some prominent cases of recent ICT supply chain attacks that the world has seen, in particular in the Asia Pacific region, which we are located within. And this will be followed by actionable lessons for Asia Pacific's enterprises and institutions. And of course, finally, and most importantly, I will talk about how all of this is underpinned by trust and transparency, and how Kaspersky as a company has sought to achieve and earn these. So I hope you will see this as a good sharing and a good learning as well. So let us start by defining key concepts. This was a question that I asked myself when I first entered the industry. I had joined from government service. Actually, I was a diplomat before, and I was working in the Ministry of Law and from the Singapore government. And when I first joined the cybersecurity industry 3 years ago, I asked myself this question. Everyone is talking about it. What exactly is an ICT supply chain? So I broke down that information, I tried to learn, and I now can say it in simple terms. Every organization's IT system contains multiple points of connections. And these, of course, include suppliers, distributors, customers, managed service providers, contractors. And if any of these points of connection is compromised, they can easily become a target for attack. What I want to illustrate in my next slide, you would see a little bit of, I try to be a bit fancy with my graphics, is this. The more points of connections there are, the more attack surfaces and vectors sectors there are. If any point of connection within an ICT supply chain is compromised, a domino effect could easily be triggered and, of course, causing uncontainable damage. So now, let me move on to the meat of my presentation and share some prominent cases of recent ICT supply chain attacks within the region, just to illustrate what I just said. Let's start from Singapore. Singtel is Singapore's largest telecommunications company, and it suffered a high-profile attack which led to a severe data breach in 2021. Not too long ago, just about 2 years, and some 129,000 customers' data was leaked, as well as sensitive information such as financial details and financial information of its former staff. Now, let me just pause there for a while. 129,000 may not mean a lot to you or to a country like India. It's minuscule in numbers, but to be honest, Singapore is a small country, and in the whole scheme of things, that is significant. And also, when we're talking about financial data theft, any one incident is one too many. Yeah, so that's just our paradigm, so just stay with me. So now coming back to the Singtel case, this was made possible because Singapore's file sharing system, which was attacked, was actually developed some 20 years ago. And this illustrates my earlier point that if any point of connection within an ICT supply chain is compromised, a domino effect could easily be triggered. Now, another example that I have from another industry, and this time from India, the All India Institute of Medical Science in New Delhi was hit by malware attacks twice in the span of 7 months, in November 2022 and in June 2023. So while the more recent attack was successfully neutralized, the attacks last year in November unfortunately led to the disruption of many services, especially online-based processes. Patients were asked to return home without consulting doctors, and basic daily operations like appointments, admissions, and billing systems were essentially affected. The Institute's officials have cited a weak firewall, outdated systems, and lack of cloud-based service as the reasons for the cyber attack. So I think we're starting to see some commonalities between the two cases, in Singapore and in India. Now, to end off this section on case studies, I'd like to share about this case which our researchers at Kaspersky have been monitoring very diligently. While investigating the artifacts of a supply chain attack on an Asian government certification authority's website, we discovered a Trojanized package that dates back to June 2020. Unraveling that thread, we actually identified a number of compromised tools in the form of plugins that were deployed using PhantomNet malware, which were in turn delivered using the said Trojanized packages. Our analysis of these plugins actually revealed similarities with the previously analyzed malware that was called Coughing Down, for those of you who remember. What the attackers essentially did were to, first of all, collect victim information such as computer names, host names, usernames, operating system versions, user privileges, whether they're admin or not, and the public IP addresses. And to also, number two, install, remove, and update malicious plugins. Now, these additional and more complex plugins are probably only deployed on a few selected machines. And thirdly, they also install the legitimate program. The attackers make sure that this compromise won't be easily noticed by users by disguising it with legitimate programs. So all in all, we can conclude that government agencies such as a certification body was the real target of the attack in a very elaborate and well-disguised manner. Now, this is especially relevant for critical infrastructure sectors, such as financial sector, fintech, insurance industries, for example. a CA, a certification authority of any country, is in fact critical infrastructure for the country. I may not know this too well. Can someone help me here? The India's certification authority, what is it called? The one where, you know, you basically have an electronic identity and everyone uses it for your important... Exactly. Yes, you got it. So this is, well, this was not India, just for the avoidance of doubt, okay? But it's somewhere in Asia. I'm not allowed to say. I don't want to name and shame, but just, you know, it highlights the importance and relevance of this for any country, because every country would have their own certification authority. Now, if attackers use such trusted avenues, such as a certification authority, to attack an ICT supply chain, it goes to show just how pervasive ICT supply chain attacks have become, and the importance of course, guarding against them. Yeah. So now, the case studies I've shared cover a wide range of industries, which also happen to be the ones with widespread and very impactful ramifications. It goes to show that ICT supply chain attacks know no sector. It does not, it is sector blind. It is opportunistic, and it is the collective responsibility of all cybersecurity professionals in this room and outside, of course, in the industry globally, to work together to guard against them. Now, what does this mean for Asia Pacific's enterprises and institutions? At Kaspersky, we suggest some actionable steps to strengthen the ICT supply chain. First of all, it is essential for these concrete steps to continue with equal efforts from the government, the concerned regulators, and private companies such as Kaspersky and anyone else, right? And the way forward should be paved with trust and transparency to ensure fruitful cooperation and collaboration that will bring about a safer cyberspace. The key ingredients to these would be a focus on developing core principles, technical standards to ensure a consistent level of cybersecurity across all companies involved. And of course, also steps to improve procedures and regulations on ICT supply chain infrastructure, and the need for actionable national cybersecurity strategies. And I do know that we're at the penultimate stage of India revealing its national cybersecurity strategy. And of course, lastly, private and public mutual cooperation and cybersecurity capacity building is of also increasing importance. I've spent some time talking about collaborations and partnerships, especially at the end of my last slide. But this isn't always easy, because first of all, who should a company collaborate with? Who should a government collaborate with? There are so many, right? You don't just collaborate with anyone that you know. Now, also, I'll just open this up to the floor. Who exactly would you spend time with? Who do you share your personal life with? Friends you meet just outside of this conference hall on the street while you're waiting for a taxi, or someone that you know, you trust? I think it's clear, right? The second group, yes, I'm seeing people nodding their heads. I'm so glad I'm among like-minded people. So trust and transparency really, especially in our industry, cybersecurity. Well, literally, cybersecurity is national security, agree? Yeah, yeah. I think we have that. And we are, so trust and transparency really are the building blocks for cyber resilience, for cybersecurity, and you should therefore collaborate with those. I think we have an agreement in this room. You should collaborate with those that you trust and those that you see as transparent. And so this brings me to Kaspersky's Global Transparency Initiative, or I would just call it, it's a mouthful, so I'll call it GTI for short. Kaspersky's GTI represents a reaffirmation of our company's commitment to earning and to maintaining the trust of our most important stakeholders, which is our customers. It includes a number of actionable and concrete measures that the company undertakes in order to involve external, independent cybersecurity experts and others to validate and to verify the trustworthiness of our software, our products, our internal processes, our business operations, and also introduces additional accountability mechanisms which, by which our company can further demonstrate that we address any security issues promptly and thoroughly. With our Global Transparency Initiative framework in place, we also call on third parties to join collaborative efforts to enhance the security and integrity of our modern software products, as well as to make the cybersecurity industry more transparent. It was launched in 2017. Our GTI is our signature program within Kaspersky, and it has evolved in the last 6 years to keep pace with the changing geopolitical climate, and in many respects stayed ahead of and preempted questions that are facing customers, regulators, and our key partners. So there are 6 pillars which I will hope to apprise you of in this slide. The first pillar is the relocation. The first pillar is the relocation of cyber threat-related data processing and storage. As part of our effort our promise actually, made back in 2017 on data relocation, I'm really glad that since a few years back already, we have successfully relocated to Switzerland, Zurich, our data storage and processing for customers in Europe, and US, and Canada, and Latin America, and the Middle East, and in countries in Asia Pacific as well, and actually possibly also from our African customers soon to come. And but for the rest of these reasons, the bulk of the world, it has been completed. So today, the customer threat-related data from Kaspersky security network that are, let me stress this, that are shared voluntarily with our company by these users, which of course includes indicators of compromise and suspicious files, are now stored and processed in data centers, in our data centers, not just one, but 2 data centers in Zurich, Switzerland. Which of course we know is Switzerland is known for being reputable, for its neutrality and impartiality, and is one of the strictest regimes around the world when it comes to complying with European standards and international best practices. And of course, it provides world-class facilities in this respect. Our researchers are also working very hard to ensure an expanded scope of services to be made available out of Switzerland. For example, our threat intelligence service can now be accessible through Switzerland, so there is no need to be concerned about any potential Russian IP in their network, and this shows how much we value our customers outside of our primary market, such as Europe, especially Asia Pacific being identified as a priority market for us. And we want to help our customers feel safe about using Kaspersky from any part of the world. Trust cannot be bought, and I say that all the time. It has to be earned, and I think Kaspersky has over-delivered in most aspects of the promise of transparency, and currently holds the gold standard of what transparency means and should stand for in this industry. And with that, I hope we will earn the trust of our valuable partners and continued trust of our customers as well. Now, moving on to the second pillar very quickly from this map, you can see that we have launched a network of 10 transparency centers. Just before this trip from the Middle East to Delhi, I flew in 2 days ago. I would have said 9, but over the weekend, on last Sunday, together with our CEO and founder, Mr. Eugene Kaspersky, we actually were in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and we had launched our newest one in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So basically, our transparency centers are trust-building facilities where partners and customers can learn more about our solutions, our practices, and get first-hand experience in verifying the trustworthiness and integrity of our products. So visitors can actually check what is under the hood of our products, namely, primarily, the source code of our flagship solutions, our threat detection rules, as well as our antivirus databases. Yep. And of course, we are proud to be the first and actually the only cybersecurity company to date that has a dedicated transparency initiative, and we are continuing to grow this network of transparency centers. And God willing, maybe we'll have one in Delhi for South Asia. Right, we invite state agencies and regulators responsible for national security and the protection of information systems, enterprise partners, and key customers of Kaspersky from anywhere in the world to visit any of our transparency centers in order to conduct a comprehensive examination of our company's source codes, threat detection rules, and, well, all of our engineering practices. So let me just say this up front also, just to get rid of the elephant in the room. Under no circumstances whatsoever will Kaspersky ever provide intelligence or law enforcement agencies with cyber offensive operations with any access to our transparency centers. So such requests will always be turned away. For those who actually prefer not to have to travel, we also have remote access options available. So that has been very useful for some of our visitors. So I've talked about this briefly, but let me set out in detail what is available for review. First of all, our software development documentation. And our builds and AV database updates, and of course, finally the rebuilding of our source code to make sure that it corresponds to publicly available modules. To date, we have hosted about 60 of such source code review sessions and visits to our transparency centers, and there has so far been thank God, there has so far been no red flags that's been flagged out, and we're very happy with that result. So now, essentially, when a customer is buying, so now this is, oh, my slides went up. Oh, I'm sorry, I shuffled it. That's it. This is the relationship I have with technology, And sometimes Murphy's Law does come in somehow. Now I want to talk a little bit about SBOM. We're basically short for Software Bill of Materials. Right. SBOM is a relatively new concept. Essentially, when buying a software product, a customer is buying a black box, right? That consists of a variety of third-party products. You actually don't really know what is inside the black box. And as long as any part of this third-party components is compromised, then the entire product is compromised, right? Which leads to supply chain attacks, which I started my presentation talking about. Now, the initiative to introduce SBOM was actually first introduced by the Department of Homeland Security in the US, and Kaspersky is proud to be a pioneer of SBOM in cybersecurity, right? And the third pillar that I should very quickly move on to is on third-party assessments. Third-party assessments help you see how we can be trusted. It's of course one thing for Kaspersky to say you can trust me, or even for Genie to say you can trust Kaspersky, but it's quite another if there is a reputable or many reputable independent third-party organizations that tell you that you can trust Kaspersky. So this is what this slide is about, really. Basically, among the certifications and security assessments that we've completed, I'll just highlight two because time is of the essence. The two most significant, well, to me. We've first of all received the ISO 27001 certification for our data security practices, and of course both Kaspersky's systems for processing files and statistics have been audited by an independent certification body as well. As a result of independent reviews of internal processes and engineering practices to verify the security and the integrity of our solutions and processes, Kaspersky has successfully also passed the SOC 2 independent assessment by a Big Four auditor, and we constantly renew the certification year on year unfailingly. And For those who are not familiar, the audit actually covers the development and release of Kaspersky's antivirus bases to prove again and again and again that its security against any interferences from external sources. Moving on to our fourth pillar, which is our bug bounty program and vulnerability management program, and I usually like to open this up as an open invitation. Basically, first of all, Kaspersky has published our set of ethical principles for responsible vulnerability disclosure, and this document can be viewed on our website. And we also have, we know that every software program may contain bugs, and we encourage people to find and report any bugs that they find to us for a reward, which is why it's an open invitation. Of course, Kaspersky employees not allowed, but externals, yes. And our bug bounty program to date, it's been launched in, I think I have a next, yeah, okay. The bug bounty program has been in place since 2018. It basically rewards up to $100,000 for the discovery, and coordinated disclosure of severe vulnerabilities. So to date, since its launch of this program in March 2018, we have not received, unfortunately, and thankfully also, we have not received any reports for critical vulnerabilities in our products. So no one has received the $100,000 yet. The bounty is still up for grabs. However, we have received, reports with non-critical flaws in our products from time to time, and you may see that 55 of them to date have been rewarded with a collective sum of more than $77,000 together. And there have been many claims that bugs or vulnerabilities in our products have been found, especially in recent times. And so my challenge is, why not report these for a reward for many? Right? And so the irresistible conclusion is that any claims so far that have been found to be bogus and untrue, that cannot withstand the test of authenticity will not test will not stand the test of our bug bounty program. So now, very quickly, the origin of our fifth pillar of the Global Transparency Initiative is the Cyber Capacity Building Program, or CCBP for short. The genesis of this is a little bit more unique. So I did say that our Transparency Center facilities will actually allow people to come in and review the source code of our software. And a lot of customers or governments and regulators actually have stepped forward to say that we're extremely keen to review your source codes, but when the source codes are open to us, it is like opening up a book in a foreign language that we cannot read or understand. So we have developed this dedicated security training program on product security evaluation to help people develop an understanding of how to do a proper source code review, or what critical parts of a source code to be looking out for. And so I'm happy to say that we have already tested this program in many countries in the last few years around the globe, and also within Asia, with state agencies and regulators, and have had rave reviews from those that we've delivered it to. And well, you actually see someone familiar on this slide. These are just some of the agencies in Asia Pacific which have undergone our CCBP, of course including CERT India. Now, finally, let me move on to the final pillar of the GTI on on our transparency reports. I'd like to spend some time just elaborating on it. When we speak about transparency, it often also means transparent reporting on how we address requests for data by governments and law enforcement agencies. So ever since 2021, as our GTI has evolved, we actually started publishing such statistics. We basically seek to answer questions such as, do these requests that we receive involve personal user data? Or maybe they just involve non-personal technical information. And how many of these requests from which countries do we receive? And for the record, we actually have denied many of these requests, unfortunately, particularly those that involve
personal customer data, which people are most concerned about. You and I'm very concerned about that. I will be upset with a company if they're revealing my personal data to a state agency. Right, so as a starting point, customers need to understand that Kaspersky only collects information that are essential for our products to be functional. Not much of personal data. You know, we're not a social media company. We're not even e-commerce. We don't collect, you know, we don't have, you know, a repository of your financial data or your personal data in the traditional sense. So any of such requests have to be denied anyway. Right, we also have a set of core principles in responding to law enforcement and government requests. And to summarize on this slide, what I want to highlight, it's many words, but what I want to highlight really is that there is not a single functionality within Kaspersky that is run by third parties external to Kaspersky. There isn't a single functionality that is not documented. It is all properly documented, and we have a very strict internal and external audit process. There is also nothing that is purposely made to harm our customers. And if we ever find any irregularity, we will address those at first instance. Now, I've said a lot about what we don't reveal to people. But actually, we're a very reputable cybersecurity company, and we have done a lot of, you know, information sharing, and we have become a very valuable partner across many countries. So we must be sharing some useful information to have created this value, right? So the question then is, what kind of information do we then share? I usually like to say not very much, but in actual fact, we have collaborated with law enforcement agencies such as Interpol by assisting in investigations or countermeasures that disrupt cyber criminal activity. So we've been trying to keep the world safe through those efforts. We will advise on methodologies, modus operandi of these cybercrime groups, and will advise on how to investigate cybercrimes, what to look out for, or to even alert countries of existing research from us which can help prevent similar attacks. For instance, through Interpol, we informed a Latin American company of a potential heist of the size of the Bangladesh heist of 2017, and we were actually able to successfully help them prevent a severe financial loss. That was an amazing achievement in my standard. So it's been it's been 6 years since we started our GTI, our Global Transparency Initiative journey. So to conclude, I just wanted to give everyone a stock take of what we've done, what we've achieved in the last 5 to 6 years. We have these results to show only because so many of Kaspersky's people have committed themselves to the cause of transparency. We let our technology speak for ourselves and have been impeccable in our integrity. Having put in so much effort and resources into GTI, we believe we have also come up with a gold standard for transparency in the cybersecurity industry. And this is something we're extremely proud of, and I look forward, that we will have more people from the industry coming on board to join us in this transparency journey. And so to conclude, there are many ICT suppliers who may be able to make promises about transparency, but at Kaspersky we have consistently delivered on our promises, and our Global Transparency Initiative is an important vision for us, and we really hope that the value of transparency can be promulgated throughout the industry and globally to achieve cyber resilience for all. And with that, thank you very much.
So can we have a big round of applause for Genie? So it was a very informative, presentation. So thank you so much, Genie. So kindly stay back on the stage.
So I request the CEO to share the token of love to Genie and her team, that is Kaspersky. Okay, we'll take the question there only. Yeah. Questions? First we'll share the token of love and then we'll take the questions, please.
So can we have a music?
Okay, 3 cheers to Kaspersky. Please, the team Kaspersky on the stage.
with a huge round of applause.
I would request Jenny to stay on the stage for the questions.
So a very good morning to you, and a lovely insight onto the Kaspersky and the various facets of it, which was very impressive and very nicely delivered.
Thank you.
With this kind of thing, it excites me to ask you one question.
It better be an easy one.
It is going to be an easy one, right? Because Kaspersky is really, I mean, you are taking absolutely 360-degree approach in VPN, firewalls, absolute cleaning mechanism, having a total data privacy, and still yet monitoring each and everything. Do we still have something called as a dark web monitoring, which is a part and parcel of the Kaspersky? Because that's going to be a major point of debate in the times to come.
Yes.
The guys are going into lots of activities, and we don't come to know how the money is just going out.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much.
It is not too difficult, so I can handle that. Now, yes, we do. And in fact, we have a dedicated elite research team within Kaspersky that we call the GREAT team, but really it's not a narcissistic name. It really GREAT stands for the Global Research and Analyst Team, dedicated to monitoring the cyber threat landscape, monitoring active APT groups, more than 200 of them, and also a lot of these of our research activities is also done through monitoring the dark web 24/7. And so actually this translates into our digital footprint intelligence. It's a service that we provide, and a big part of that, actually a lot of the findings actually come out through the dark web as well. And you are right, it helps us to advise our customers and help and support them to be able to take preemptive measures. So yes, we do provide dark web monitoring and all that, and this is a core part of our research activities, and the result of this actually can be benefited through our digital footprint intelligence. And of course, if anyone in this room has more questions regarding this, we'll be happy. My colleagues, the May table, for some reasons they're all born in the month of May now. They're sitting there. Jaydeep and the team will be happy to talk with you through this as well. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Genie, thanks for your.
Oh, hi. Yes.
Hi.
Sorry, I was.
Yeah, I think this was quite insightful regarding the security perspectives. Just my background on security, I have worked with Cisco in the past as a principal architect. So I was primarily selling their security devices and all that products. Wanted to check, do you have products on the wireless security enterprises where we have the routers and a lot of wireless areas? Do you also deal with that kind of security devices?
We actually have security solutions for everything and anything. And in fact, I have an entire spiel and presentation, and I've delivered that speech, I think, in Hanoi just last week in Vietnam, about security for, and also cyber immunity for IoT devices. So we'll be also happy to talk you through that. I just kindly ask my colleagues from the May table, Jaydeep and team, to take note of his question and give you a better explanation.
Sure, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
These organizations have their customized requirements for the data privacy.
Yes.
So do you handle that as well, or is there any expertise in these kind of data privacy?
We actually do, and thank you for that question, first of all. We actually have experience working across all verticals, including healthcare, manufacturing, basically critical information infrastructure sectors. So, and of course, also the government vertical, these are all CII. That will help you fulfill these requirements and compliance. So personally, my take is this: at Kaspersky, as a company, we actually hold ourselves to the highest standards and strictest standards, which is called the GDPR. Now, internally within the company, we have great experience complying as a company to those standards. So we are actually extremely well placed. And I think the GDPR has the most far-reaching and the strictest standards by far that the world has seen today. So actually, we will be well placed to actually advise on the best practices and compliance of the standards across the globe in all countries as well. So thank you for that question. Yeah.
Hi, Sugene. Behind me.
Hello. Hi.
So good. So you mentioned about GDPR just now, and it is a very strict code, right? Welcome to India. You would see the new Indian privacy law is actually stricter than GDPR.
Yes,
So
which I've also commented on to the media recently, yeah.
Sure. So my question was actually is just a clarification that I wanted. You talked about transparency centers and you talked about bug bounty, right? The purpose of these two actually is same, right? I mean, is there a difference? If there is a difference, just clarify.
Between bug bounty and
the transparency centers. I mean, I understand that transparency center also talks about finding bugs, mistakes, and vulnerabilities in the system by people, right?
yes. Thank you for that question. So maybe I haven't been so clear in my presentation, so this is very good feedback. Now, they are not the same, but they dovetail and they segue in the same narrative. So let me just very quickly, in a minute, explain this. At the transparency centers, we're talking about facilities, physical facilities where people are invited to come forward, sit with our experts, and to now tell me, which of Kaspersky's products are you planning to buy or planning to look into and want to understand more of the source code? And so Kaspersky has put ourselves out there. Are the people in this room familiar with my favorite fried chicken? Genie's favorite fried chicken? Kentucky Fried Chicken, anyone? You're familiar with KFC? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Which flavor? Original?
Original.
That's the best, right? And the KFC original recipe has this amazing recipe, supposedly with 11 herbs and spices, which none of us will ever know of, right? So what Kaspersky is actually doing through our Transparency Center is to show you our recipe, to tell you what is in our secret recipe, what herbs and spices we have in our source codes. So that is, I like to laymanize things because I'm a layman. I'm not a security engineer. I'm a lawyer and a diplomat and a public policy person. I'm in government affairs. So I like to break down technical information into laymanized terms and hopefully explain it in a clear way. Now, then your other inquiry about the bug bounty program really is a reward program to challenge people and to, invite participation from the industry, from people who are interested, who find bugs or, some shortcomings in our software to help us make it better so it benefits our customers, benefits the industry, and also promotes that growth of expertise among the security engineer community as well. So it's actually, a participative kind of a program, which I believe we're not the only company, but among cybersecurity vendors, I think we have the most widely publicized bug bounty program. So the bug bounty program is one of the pillar under the GTI, Global Transparency Initiative. The Transparency Center also feeds into the Global Transparency Center, Global Transparency Initiative as one of the key pillars as well. So they're not the same, but they dovetail towards a same common objective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Genie, for joining for this wonderful presentation.